Hey guys, I'm Janet on occasion, and today I'm playing Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This one is another game against TzuDevil, that's right, and I'm bringing the Empire, and that's always rough. Yeah, the Empire haven't been faring so well against the Dwarves in the latest patches, but gotta give it a go, right? So here we are, defending the Old Dwarf outskirts. Clearly, what happened here is Karl Franz, who I've brought, he got given some Dwarven pajamas for his birthday, and then by Thorgrim, Grudge bearer, of course. But then a few months later, he re-gifted them to Thorgrim, and it was really embarrassing. It was really bad. So obviously Thorgrim declared a grudge, and now he's come to collect. So you know, it happens. It happens. So you got to watch out. You can't re-gift things to a dwarf. They'll take it really, really personally. Anyway, so I've got Karl Franz. So basically, right, this whole thing is very much a Warhammer 1 build, right? This is what I used to bring against the Dwarves, near enough anyway. So it's a lot of fun. So I've got Karl Franz, he's actually got some great armor-piercing stuff. So see the Reichland Rune Fang, I'll give him really, you know, a lot of extra melee attack for everyone nearby, which is great. That's nice. You can register more hits, and, you know, it'll help, because if you hit them a couple of times and half is negated by armor, you know, it's not great. But if you hit them a lot more and half is negated by armor, they're still taking more damage, so it helps. Also, stand your ground, obviously, is just a classic, isn't it? He's also got hold the line for the charge resistance, but that's kind of pointless. I guess the 4 leadership is alright. Probably shouldn't have bothered bringing it. He's also got blood roar, which is nice, so -8 melee around him when he's in combat, which is very cool. And yeah, pretty nice. He's pretty formidable. A lot of AP, which I really like. But I didn't bring Galmoraz. No, I didn't. It's pretty expensive. It gives a lot of extra AP, but he's got a lot of AP anyway on Deathclaw, and yeah, I kind of figured, yeah, I'd save myself the money. A lot of the cost of the Galmoraz is sort of is for anti-large, basically, so I didn't want to waste it. But I do have these 2 mortars, which are a lot of fun. They can do some good splash damage, and you know, they get very few kills, but they do a fair bit of HP damage, which definitely helps. So in the front line, it's all great swords. So I have 5 units of great swords. So all anti-armor, you know, armor-piercing, anti-infantry. They're, you know, just classic, right? They don't perform as well as they probably should in a lot of cases these days, but I just have so many of them that a lot of these will find, you know, favourable engagements. So should be alright. I've also got 2 handgunners in the back. Obviously line of sight issues are always a problem with these guys now, but hopefully I'll be able to make some use out of them. I also have the silver bullets. They're stalking, so I can have them off to one side, so they can start shooting things in the side, which will be good. And also way over here, I also have Sterling's Revenge. Sterling's Revenge, obviously free company, so not great range, but they do have armor-piercing missiles instead of the usual free company. And again, they can stalk, right? So I can Vanguard, so I can sneak up on this stuff. So TzuDevil here, you see, he's got the classics, he's got Bugman's Rangers, he's gone with the Dragonback Slayers, more Bugman's Rangers. But apart from the Bugmans, which weren't really a big pick in you know, Warhammer 1, this is a pretty standard army. So you see, he's got a load of grudge throwers, which I think is awesome. So he's got the Goblobber on the edge, so obviously that has the leadership damage as well. But you know, I do have pretty good leadership, you know, since it's mainly great swords. In the front line, he's got a lot of dwarf warriors and longbeards. So it's just standard longbeards, not the great weapon variant. So they're going to struggle for the AP. But he does have the Grumbling Guard, and he does have some longbeards with great weapons in the back, which is, yeah, that's going to hurt a lot, as well as all the artillery. He's got Thorgrim, and Thorgrim's just got some great buffs for everybody nearby. So it's pretty cool. Although it doesn't look like he's brought a heck of a lot of stuff on Thorgrim, but he does have the +9 melee attack, which is pretty huge, actually. When you see dwarf warriors, you know, their melee attack is pretty low. What was it? 20? It would have been 23, I think, otherwise. So, you know, that's a hell of a buff for units that have very little melee attack generally. So it's a lot of help there. So very cool army. So we're going to speed things up and see how it goes. So obviously I'm moving straight in. Oh, I do have a Jade Wizard as well. It must be mentioned, he's got nothing but regrowth and Flesh to Stone, which is very cool. So I can add armor to my guys, because dwarves tend to struggle when it comes to armor piercing. So if I can buff these guys' armor to, you know, huge amounts, because it's +60. So yeah, it'd be over, yeah, it'd be at 150 almost. So pretty huge. So straight away, my handgunners, I'm getting some good shots into Thorgrim here, which is nice. Actually, it looks like I was going for the Dwarf Warriors there. Whoops. Anyway, I will be going for Thorgrim, because he's the only target that I won't have a problem with line of sight, because he's nice and tall, because he's on the big chair. So, the fool, what was he thinking? So here, I'm getting some good handgunner fire into the armor piercing Longbeards, because that's the most important. And because they're up on a hill, I could actually hit them. Because these guys are going to be a real problem for me. So I'm sending Karl Franz into here to try and help destroy these Longbeards. And you'll see they are losing health very quickly. So here I've got the Railgun Runefang buffing their melee attack. Stand your ground buffing their melee defense. So you see they've got very, very competitive stats right now. Also, these guys, I've used Flesh to Stone, because they're just fighting normal Dwarf Warriors. Thorgrim will hit pretty hard, but the extra armor on these guys will help them get through these Dwarf Warriors without taking much damage. I've always used a regrowth to keep their model count high, because you can see they're still on 73, and I want to keep it that way. So, it's pretty fun. So more Longbeards are coming in. Obviously the Longbeards are going to be a lot harder to crack, but that's fine. Over on this side, things aren't going so well. So you see one of the great swords has already been, you know, chased away by the Longbeards and the Dwarf Warriors. I think there's been a lot of artillery firing at the sides as well. Over here, I did come in with the Stern's Revenge, tried to shoot into the Bugmans a bit, but they got very little done. They've just been attacked by the Slayers. But it means that Karl Franz now has just the opportunity to do whatever he wants over here. So, and here, these Longbeards have broken. Longbeards are very expensive, so this is beautiful for me. So now, I've got a fairly healthy unit of 80 greatswords that can charge into the back. I've had my mortars firing at the Grumbling Guard, getting some good HP damage in. So that's nice, and these guys are still holding against a lot of Dwarf Warriors and Longbeards and Thorgrim, which is great. And as you see, Thorgrim has been taking so much damage from all my handgunners, but my handgunners are not going to trade well here if they're getting shot at by Bugmans, so that's not ideal. But Karl Franz is able to come in here and deal with these Bugmans. He hits hard enough that their regeneration isn't going to help him much, because when he hits, it's going to kill models, because they can regenerate, but they can't bring their units back to life. So being able to hit him with Karl, brilliant. So here you can see the mortars are still pounding these guys completely. It's a bit risky because obviously my greatswords are going to take some of the flak, but if I can get rid of the Grumbling Guard, that'd be fantastic. So I'm getting Karl Franz to come in and help here as well. So my silver bullets had been struggling a bit. You see he's focusing on one handgunner than the other, mainly because these handgunners were shooting at Thorgrim, so he wants to make sure they're dealt with. So yeah, so it's going pretty well. These greatswords still managing to fight against these Dwarf Warriors and Longbeards with great weapons. So that's pretty huge that they're able to hold out against the great weapons on this side. So over here, still got my greatswords fighting. It's the next lot of greatswords that these guys are attacking. But if we look, I'm going to get a good rear charge with these greatswords. So these guys are going to take so much damage from this. So that's fantastic. And now that I've charged these guys in the back, I'm actually going to charge these greatswords on to get into these groups. So I'll be able to get onto his rangers, I'll be able to get onto his goblobber, because leadership is going to become a problem now with things so injured. So you can see I've got a lot of stuff running away. He's managed to take out a lot of my ranged, and they're pretty useful, those ranged fighters. So amazingly, the greatsword is still holding out against all these Longbeards. I've had the Jade Wizard just charge into combat, because he's got alright enough combat stats, and frankly, Longbeards don't hit particularly hard. So I'm quite happy for him to come in here, you know. He'll do alright. He's got alright weapon strength. It'll help. So here I'm managing to blow up most of my own guys with those mortars. But I've caught the other Bugmans out, which is great. And I think the other ones, did they? Oh, yep, they ran away. They're coming back, though. They're coming back. So things are going pretty well. His Slayers have just been cleaving apart straight through the middle. He's got onto my handgunners so they can't come back. And he's going to try and get onto these mortars. But the mortars have used a lot of their ammo up, so they're getting pretty good value. So my greatswords are still chasing the Bugmans away, but I want to bring them back and get on the Goblobber, because these Goblobbers can do a lot of damage. So I've got these greatswords on this Grudge Thrower. This Grudge Thrower is going to get taken out, and this one is getting taken out by Karl. So as you can see, I've got some pretty good pockets of... got two fairly healthy greatswords. I mean, fairly healthy. Not great, but fairly. And of course, without their High King, their leadership is really starting to struggle, whereas my leadership is still great. So also, my Jade Wizard will encourage stuff nearby. So that helps, but at the moment I'm only fighting Longbeards. Longbeards aren't going to hit very hard, so that's great. Longbeards with great weapons are coming in though, but these two should be able to deal with them. And army losses hits. So absolutely fantastic that I managed to get a win with the Empire. Obviously it wasn't the most competitive dwarf build, because it's against the Empire, right? But, I mean, we had to show this one. It's just too good to see the Empire, you know, just that classic build of all the, you know, the handgunners and the armor piercing, you know, get those great swords in there. It's great to see that actually pan out for once, because it can go horribly wrong. But yeah, it was great seeing Karl Franz in action and the High King. This is just such a classic sort of like release day Warhammer 1 build. Actually saying that, Jade Wizard didn't exist, did he? But yeah, we can ignore that. Fine, not release day, a couple months in. So, Pyrrhic Victory. So he didn't bother with the Slayers, you know. He didn't have me fight them to the last, because that would have taken ages. But he did want to make sure that the mortars were dealt with before he quit. So, fair enough. I tried to run them away. I couldn't run fast enough. You know, Slayers, they're quite fast, brackets, for a dwarf. So, yeah. So, as you can see, I didn't really get a lot of work done with my Stern's Revenge. They did a bit crap. truth be told. They didn't really do much. But they kept the Slayers busy for a while, so it gave Karl Franz a lot more of a chance to, run around and get work done. Goblobbers and the Grudge throwers did a hell of a lot of work, but you can see his Dwarf Warriors just couldn't really do anything. Same with the Longbeards. They couldn't really get any purchase on my units. The Greatswords just had too much armor for, just for the Longbeards and the Dwarf Warriors. And me being able to buff their armor even further and get a regrowth in there, just so any damage would be, regenerated before they started losing any models. It meant these guys just didn't really cut it. The Longbeards are great weapons, obviously did a lot better, because these guys are great for dealing with greatswords. But again, being able to just get regrowths on stuff and bring backup in, whether it be a rear charge from Karl Franz coming in on Deathclaw or the Jade Wizard running in to, have some fun. Because obviously their armor piercing is not really going to, the Jade Wizard isn't really K, doesn't have any armor. So, he doesn't really rely on his armor. So, because generally, armor piercing units, that'll do less damage overall than, the non-armor piercing variants. So, it balances out. So it's more damage that'll definitely get through versus just more damage that might. So, stuff like just standard Longbeards will do a lot better against lower armored things than Longbeards with great weapons. So, there's the counterplay there. So, but, he was expecting more just state troops. These Longbeards would have done amazing if I just brought what is probably the meta at the moment. Certainly with this latest patch, it favours sort of having high melee defense, cheap stuff, right? So spearmen are really, common as the frontline pick, just because they can survive longer than swords will. And that's more important most of the time for a front line. Especially when the Empire, really, it doesn't rely on swordsmen to do any damage, it relies on things like handgunners, and, artillery, and its lords and heroes, spells, its cavalry. So it relies on that stuff. So usually, you just want something cheap that'll hold. So spearmen is usually the way to go, and Longbeards they'd barely get a dent in them fighting spearmen, so this makes sense. But because I just went all in with the greatswords, which I don't think people tend to do this kind of build anymore, because it stopped working, so people are trying to adapt, but then the dwarf players have adapted too. So suddenly you come in with a classic, and it can be, it can really catch people off guard, which I think is a lot of fun. But yeah, he got a lot of value out of a lot of his units here, but just my greatswords just tore through him. I mean, look at this, 140 kills, amazing. It's great to see these guys perform as they should. So absolutely lovely. So guys, obviously got to go check out TzuDevil, the High King of YouTube, as I've decided to call him, for all of your Dwarfen needs. And we must say that this is actually the last battle we're putting up. We've decided to end on a draw because we both think the other person played valiantly, and we're happy for it to settle on a draw, which I know isn't very Dwarfen, to leave grudges ungrudged. Is that a way to phrase it? I have no idea. But we're going to end on a draw, which I think is nice, so we had a good handshake over Discord. I don't know how that works, but, it's a metaphor, so don't worry about it. And, yeah, we decided to end on a draw. So, I hope all you guys really enjoyed the series. It's been a lot of fun for us to play, and I'm sure we'll play some more games in the future. And, yeah, I hope you guys learnt a lot, because, honestly, these dwarves, the builds have been really varied. They've been really interesting. Seeing a lot of units that I just, haven't seen in a long time. It's pretty cool. So guys, yeah, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe. Go check out TzuDevil, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.